and do that.
Okay.
All right, while you're getting set up, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick welcome. Welcome for those of you who are joining us for week 1 technology of Clicks and Bricks. Really excited to have you all join in our conversation. Tonight is going to be focusing on technology for food service and hospitality. Tomorrow night, you do not have to attend, so you got your credit for the week just by being here. But tomorrow night, we'll be talking retail, and our presenter will be Ryan Pesch. And this is the only week where we're split up into 2 groups. The next 2 weeks will be the full cohort, everyone together. So next week, you'll see a few more faces. But really excited to see that you all are interested in learning more about e-commerce. I think, pre-pandemic, obviously, we all knew that the internet was very popular and e-commerce was growing. But with what happened during the pandemic, I think that really accelerated the need for it. And so we're just trying to spread some skills around greater Minnesota in Wadena and Todd County. I'm really excited that Hannah Bretz is joining us tonight from HB Digital Marketing. She's also an SBDC consultant, and I will put the plug in that she is available to work with you attendees after the workshop is over if you'd like some additional one-on-one counseling. And that's part of the agreement we have with the North Central SBDC. So a big thank you to those folks as well for making Hannah available. All right, I'll turn it over to you now.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? Okay, cool. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to try really hard to not be disturbed by cats. I have 3 because I'm a crazy cat lady, and most of them are out of the room, but I just wanted to warn you, if you see a big plume of fur go in front of me, it's because my cats have no respect for me. Okay, so hi. I'm so happy to be here talking about my favorite type of small business, food businesses. Food businesses are near and dear to my heart because my very first business was a food business. And I just feel like people who are in the food industry, small business owners, entrepreneurs, we just have something that connects us. We have this passion, this drive, and we could all talk about food until the cows come home. So in my work, helping food businesses and food entrepreneurs, I've just really enjoyed working within this community. And I can't tell you how excited I am that I've been given this opportunity by the Economic Alliance and by the Small Business Development Center. So very happy to be here tonight. And thank you so much for being here to go on this little journey with me. So I'm working with Google Slides tonight. This is a little bit different for me, but everything online all the time as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to transition here. So we're here for Clicks and Bricks. We're going to be doing as Katie said, this is the first session. And we're going to focus on tonight, technology platforms for specifically food service. But this is also going to blend into retail food business because there's just so much overlap between the two. And a lot of the tools that we would use for food service businesses can also be applicable to retail and vice versa. So again, I want to thank the Economic Alliance and the SBDC at Central Lakes College for having me here. Please, if you haven't already, go visit their websites and learn about all the wonderful things that they're doing for the small business community, and just fantastic things like tonight. This whole series is just an incredible asset. And, we're really grateful that they're able to put this on for us. So like I said, technology and platforms, and this is mostly going to be about food service. And I promise I'm not going to bore you with a really long slide presentation. I am the internet whisperer. My entire life is on the internet, so we're going to do a lot of web surfing tonight so I can show you a lot of the different tools and platforms and channels and all that good stuff, as well as highlight a couple of my good friends in the food service business. So I think you'll have fun. So welcome again. Now, I asked if I could have permission to ask all of you, would anyone like to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about your business and what your goals are for participating in this series? Anyone? Don't jump on the mic all at once, guys. No, okay, no takers. All right, well, that's okay. We can talk about me if you want. So my name's Hannah, and I am a digital marketing and business consultant. And I have this consulting company, I call it HB Digital Marketing. It's just me, it's kind of small, but I like it that way. And I fell into this this profession kind of on accident. I'm actually a jazz singer by education. I went to the Chicago College of Performing Arts and became a jazz singer for college. But it turns out that you have to be a night owl to be a jazz singer, and I'm a morning person. So these are things they don't tell you about in career counseling in high school. So anyway, I got out of jazz school and realized that it's really hard to make a living as a jazz singer. So I went into the corporate world and started out, at entry level as a executive assistant in some international banks in the Chicago area. And then from there, I ended up kind of falling into higher academics, and eventually I was asked to take on a fundraising role. So then I became a nonprofit development officer, eventually becoming a director of development for the Fremont Area Medical Center, so hospital. I was the major gift officer for the Drake University Law School. And most recently, I was the executive director of the Mankato Symphony Orchestra. So I've had this really weird kind of accidental career. And through all of this stuff, as I'm learning and gathering these skills in different industries, I had this bug, this itch to do something on my own, to create a business and do something that I was passionate about. And so I did it the way that a lot of us do it. I started very, very small. Oh, just to say, I'm a consultant with the Small Business Development Center at Minnesota State University in Mankato. I also work with the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. I have worked with them to facilitate a bunch of cohorts of food entrepreneurs, where we had a peer network. So we would get together once a month, and I would help them help each other troubleshoot and provide opportunities to each other for their various food service businesses. Just a really cool program. And then recently I became the director of marketing for a very cool tech startup called Flashlight Now. We are the first online marketplace and mobile on-demand app for small businesses in the security, private investigation, public safety training and consulting industry. So just a super cool project. I'm so lucky that I got asked to jump on board with this little team. We're going to be changing the world here real soon, and I'm very happy to be their marketer. So shameless plug, go check out flashlightnow.com and you can learn more about everything that we're doing there. We just launched, so we're a baby. So yes, that was me when I was young and had energy. Okay, so my first food business. So I started very small, like I said. I have all kinds of food allergy issues. I started out when I was 24, I found out that I was gluten intolerant. I was having a lot of trouble. My joints hurt. I couldn't walk downstairs without hurting. Just a lot of inflammation and generally just feeling not great. So I gave up eating gluten. I had found a brownie recipe, just looking for a regular brownie recipe online. And the brownie recipe was from a woman, I'll never forget, her blog was called Gluten Free Goddess. And I was like, what is this gluten-free stuff? And I kept reading and learning about her story and found out that she had all the same problems that I had. So I was like, all right, I got to try this out. So I went gluten-free for 3 days, felt amazing. I didn't even know you could feel that good. So at 24 years old, I gave up gluten. I eventually gave up dairy. I've been gluten and dairy free ever since. And somewhere along the line, I found the paleo diet. And I don't really follow the paleo diet anymore. But back in 2012, when I first started my business, it was a very, very new concept in the food industry space. And I'll talk a little bit more about that and marketing and how that all worked out for me. So anyway, I started making these muffins and cupcakes that were paleo. So that means they're gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, and something else free. So basically they're made out of unicorn tears because I took all the fun out of it. But seriously, they were really tasty, and I was serving a very, very small niche audience because the paleo diet and the allergen-friendly industry was still kind of in its infancy. So I was very fortunate in that I actually created a segment of this food allergy market with the advent of my small business. So I started out at the Omaha Farmers Market. You know, I brought my little tent down on Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. or whatever, and I was doing really hard work getting ready for farmers market. And if any of you have ever done farmers market, then you totally know what I mean. It's a lot of work. But what was really great about the farmers market was that it introduced me to my target audience. And again, remember, I have no education in marketing. My background is in jazz singing and fundraising. So at this point in my life, I'm just completely winging it. I'm, making a lot of mistakes and doing the next right thing. So Omaha, where I lived at the time, was this huge hub for national business conferences. It's in the middle of the country. It's cheap, so lots of businesses will have everybody fly into Omaha. Well, what was really cool about that was that if these folks attending these business conferences had spare time on Saturday morning, they would wander down to this really cool little downtown farmers market. So this is how I became exposed to audiences on the East and West coasts, because they were coming into town and they had a different set of values for the food that they ate. And I was meeting people who were already on the paleo diet or who had some kind of an allergen that they were trying to avoid with what they were eating. And so I had a lot of people that would come find me at the farmers market and they would say, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. You've got paleo muffins and cupcakes and you have to ship these to me in California or whatever. So I'm just going to let you all learn from my mistakes. Don't ever try to ship FedEx cupcakes because it won't work. I think I wasted like $600 on FedEx shipping, and all of my cupcakes ended up squished when they got to California and nobody was happy. So I got to that point where I realized that I needed to pivot my business model, because I had an audience. They were on the coasts and I was in the middle of the country, and I couldn't ship my product to the audience, the target audiences that I had. So I came up with the idea that instead of selling actual baked good finished retail products, I was going to make the first paleo dry baking mix to be on the market. So I completely created a niche market within the food industry. So again, I knew nothing, but that was a monumental moment in my personal and professional development, because that pivot, taking the business model that I had and making choices based on what the environment looked like, where my target audience was, and how I could best serve my customers, that made all the difference, and it completely changed my life. So here you can see me doing a really funky dance in my licensed commercial kitchen. I had a really great business mentor who was manufacturing scones and selling them frozen in the Hy-Vees and grocery stores. And he was kind enough to let me use his commercial kitchen free of charge, which is like a miracle for those of you who have worked in the food service space. I'm sure you're well aware. So I was making muffins and things to take to the farmer's market as I was transitioning into this idea of making the dry mixes. And actually in that kitchen, when I was very, very first getting started, I had invited all of my immediate family to drive in to Omaha. And I had them all on this production line of scooping ingredients into my mixer, and then the next person would weigh them, and the next person would bag them, and then the last person would seal them. So that was my first supply chain production operation, was my mom and dad and my sister and my brother-in-law. Free labor is great. So anyway, then I started, we'll see what else. Yep. So it became an e-commerce business. So I started to sell my products online, and I didn't know what I was doing. I noticed when I was doing some research on all of your lovely businesses that some of you have Shopify websites, and maybe more of you who are selling retail online. Maybe you're going to be in the other session, but I started my very first food business on the Shopify e-commerce platform, and I really liked it. I still consult with clients who use it today, and it's got a lot of it's really easy to get started with e-commerce on Shopify, even though it does have some limitations. But so anyway, this is what it looked like back in 2012. It was pretty crappy. So I've gotten a lot better at website design, so please don't judge my lack of web design back in the day. But I ended up learning about packaging. I bought Mylar bags. I had to buy a sealer. I started to research nutrition labels and legal requirements from the FDA in terms of the nutrition panel and allergy labeling, which, by the way, is that's a very tough thing to do. You have to be very specific about allergens if you manufacture food and distribute them. So I had to do all that. I did all that research myself. I went to the FDA here and I started looking for all of the different requirements. And what's really cool about the FDA website is that, so let's say you made your nutrition panels last year in 2021. So the FDA's website actually updates all of their guidance and guidelines on the homepage by year. So if you manufactured some packages and you had a nutrition label, or you had some allergen labels on your products, you can come back here and learn that the FDA is revoking the standard of identity for French dressing. So, politics and salad dressing they go hand in hand, I guess. So I was doing that, and then I was stumbling around into, I thought I had this open, but I don't think I do. Barcodes. I had to learn all about the GS1, how to get barcodes, how to create a company GS1 account. So they call it a prefix. So your company has a prefix number for a barcode, and then each product that you have gets a suffix or a number that tags onto the end of it. So I had to learn all about that. All the stuff I was doing while working full-time as a director of development for a hospital. So it was a lot of work. So I got a website, right? I made some packages. By the way, the photos on these original labels, I took those photos in my dining room by putting my product on a white bed sheet on the dining room table and taking pictures with my camera. So yeah, we're talking bare bones, bootstrapping it. But gosh, I sure learned a lot about product photography, and it was a really good experience, even though it was very hard. So I had my website, I put my products on there. Shopify makes it very easy to sell your products. So it's really a fantastic way to get started if you're not 100% comfortable with an e-commerce platform. It looks a lot better now than it did back in the day. So if you're interested in starting an e-commerce platform or on a e-commerce platform with your business, Shopify is one of the many great tools that are available to you. So I had a website and I had a product. Cool. Now what? So I started using digital tools because, again, my target audience was on the East and West Coast. I had some customers in Omaha where I started. Oh, there's the plume. Mostly I was partnering with CrossFit gyms because CrossFit athletes were also eating a paleo lifestyle type diet. So I had some local contacts, and I was doing wholesale for some of the food co-ops and some of the local grocery stores. But most of my clientele were actually on the East and West Coast. So now how do I reach those folks? How do I connect with my audience? And I started out by doing some blogging. That's my own wedding cake. It was absolutely delicious. So I started to take pictures and write content, and that's how I started to learn about search engine optimization. And I don't want to go too far into this, but we're going to talk more about this in session 3. No, yeah, 3 for me. So I'm going to do a whole thing on marketing for online food businesses. So I'm not going to get too far into that, but basically I learned all about putting important text keywords on your website so that people can find you on the internet, and then they'll come back to your website. I also learned about social media and all these different types of ways that you can market your business. Again, we're going to talk more about that in session 3. So I moved to Minnesota with my now ex-husband to be closer to his family. And at that time, I was pregnant and I was really, really sick. I was manufacturing my bags of product at nighttime. So like from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., I was renting a friend's commercial kitchen. She did baking during the day. I did manufacturing of my dry mixes at night. I was pregnant. I was sick. It was awful. So I just decided that something had to give. And so I decided to let my baby go out into the world and find something new. So I sold my company. It was acquired by a guy in Seattle who was very excited about it. I sold my company on a really cool website called Flippa. So if any of you are ever thinking about selling your business and you have a significant portion of your business is tied to your e-commerce business, so you have a website, a domain, you have all these online assets, I highly recommend using some kind of a online business sales platform like Flippa, because you can, like, what was cool about my business was there wasn't a lot of physical assets to sell, but I had a ton of digital assets to sell because my entire business was built on an e-commerce business model. So I sent him some of the equipment that I had. This was all worked out in our purchase sale agreement. I sent him all of my recipes, my product development. He took over the website. He and I stayed on to provide consulting with him for 3 months after I sold him the company. So he went on and redesigned the website and made it look a lot nicer. He redesigned the labels, the brand, but he kept the name. And Paleo Baking Company was an amazing name for the company, even though it was on accident, because when people were looking for baked goods within the paleo diet world, they literally typed in Paleo Baking Company. So my brand was the top keyword for the industry. And again, we'll get into more of this in session 3. I am a huge nerd for marketing and search engine optimization. So I'm very excited about that session. So anyway, he eventually ended up hiring me to be a consultant for his company. I did most of the marketing for the business. I continued to write content for the blog. I did search engine optimization for him. All of this being self-taught. I just learned online and taught myself a lot of things using resources online. And I'll share some of those with you in session 3, the ways that I went and taught myself how to be a food business marketer on the internet. And he also had me do product development. So when I started out, I had 3 flavors, hazelnut, chocolate, and spice cake mix. And then he asked me to do some additional product development, so new flavors and things like that. So we expanded the product line. He started selling it west of the Rockies. He was in every Whole Foods grocery store. We were in a whole bunch of other little co-ops, natural food stores around the United States. We did all the fun stuff of learning how to put an automated map system on the website so people could search for grocery stores near them. Shopify has an incredible app widget thingy that allows you to do that fairly easily. So when you use e-commerce platforms like Shopify or Wix or WordPress or Squarespace, a lot of times they will have these widgets that you can then use to build up your e-commerce platform and make your technology work better for you. One of the greatest things to happen to small businesses is technology automation, so that your technology is doing the work for you while you're busy doing the things that require your time and attention. So we automated a bunch of things on the website. We're selling a bunch of product. I'm having the time of my life because I still get to nurture my little business baby. But at the same time, I can, take care of my now infant. So it worked out great. Unfortunately, the gentleman who bought my business experienced a very painful buyback situation. And any of you who have ever sold wholesale with your food product, you maybe have experienced this. But basically, he had manufactured a bunch of product and sent it out into the world. And when it didn't sell on the store shelves, the grocers and the wholesale buyers that we had wanted us to buy back that product. So it was like $50,000 of buyback and a bunch of expired inventory. And that was a really hard lesson for both of us. But basically it meant that he was unable to continue with the company. So he did eventually stop running the business. And actually, paleobakingcompany.com is for sale if anybody wants to jump into the paleo world. So then while I was doing Paleo Baking Company, I had moved up here to Minnesota, and I became a client of the Small Business Development Center. And so they really helped me, the one here in Mankato at Minnesota State University, they really helped me refine my business management skills. So the things that I couldn't teach myself, like I took a class called Profit Mastery to understand cost of goods, profit margin, helped me with my wholesale math to understand how much I was going to make and how much my wholesalers were going to make. I learned a lot about QuickBooks and the financials and the back end business organization stuff. And I really couldn't have done what I did with this business without the SBDC. So if you haven't applied to be a client, please do so. We're the best kept secret in the small business world. Everything we do for you, all of our consulting is free to you. We're funded by the SBA and DEED here in Minnesota. It's a dream job for me, and I provide, our regional office in Mankato, the regional director asked me to become a consultant after I sold Paleo Baking Company, because I had the skills as a digital entrepreneur to help the SBDC clients get online, to figure out how to be found in local search, to build websites, to use social media. I had that experience, so they asked me to be a consultant. And I was like, what? I'm not a consultant. I'm just a food entrepreneur. But anyway, I started HB Digital Marketing, and I've been doing that ever since. Let's see, that was 2015 when I started it. So now we're going on 7 years, and I'm the luckiest lady in the world. The career I never thought I would have and never tried to have, but I just kind of accidentally had this journey and became this very happy and content digital marketer. So, and I get to meet wonderful people like you and help you out, which really inspires me and keeps me moving. So anyway, that's my story. And now we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about some food service, e-commerce, and technology platforms. So the goals for tonight are really going to be to understand a selection of digital and technology platforms and products. We want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need and the understanding of what's available to you to start or grow your food service business. We also want to take away some ideas on how you can better serve your customers and increase your sales. And we want to make sure that we're giving you the tools to make your business more agile and resilient. So I was going to ask everybody if anyone wanted to share if they were in business during the quarantine and whether or not, and how that went, and maybe what strategies you employed during that time to keep your business afloat. Because of all the businesses that I have worked with, through the pandemic, it's been food service businesses that were hit the hardest by far. We really did a lot of work here in South Central Minnesota to try to support our food service businesses, because they require so much, they require in-person interaction and engagement with their target audience. So I was going to ask that, but nobody wanted to introduce themselves earlier. So I'm thinking that nobody probably wants to share, but if you do, now's your time. Anyone? No, that's okay. Okay. So COVID-19, that has really shaken up the food industry, particularly because, like I said, when we're serving food, when we are doing hospitality, we are interacting with our customers in person. So it's been really difficult and really challenging, but at the same time, I have been overwhelmed by the number of clients who came to me during the quarantine and started very resilient food businesses because of the opportunities, because of the challenges of COVID. It just never fails to blow my mind about how inventive and creative and resilient small business owners are. And so it's been a really big learning experience for me. And I'm fortunate to get to have these experiences with my clients. So there's a lot of different types of food service businesses, a lot of different hospitality businesses. And so it's going to be kind of hard for me to really laser focus on any one business model for food because there's so many. But I'm going to share with you some stories about some friends of mine, some clients of mine, and hopefully show you that there's so many great technology platforms and tools that you can use to either pivot your business like I did, or expand on your existing business model and make your business more agile, hopefully more automated, and to help you drive down your operating costs and increase your sales and your profits. So, sorry, I got sidetracked here. Okay, so e-commerce. This is the first thing that everybody thinks of when we talk about selling online. I'm actually going to get out of this because I really don't need it. Oh, this was Paleo Baking Company on Amazon.com. So we'll talk a little bit more about selling on Amazon because it's a whole thing with small businesses, lots of opportunities, lots of challenges. But so e-commerce, we primarily think of websites. Websites are mostly used by retail food service businesses, but they can be very effective in food service. So even if you're not selling your product online, you can still be marketing your product online. And that's where the websites really come into play. Not as a sales tool, but also as a marketing tool. And so during the pandemic, these innovative delivery and pickup businesses they existed, but they really started to shine in the pandemic because of the need for engagement between customers and local food service. So I'm sure we're all familiar with DoorDash or Grubhub. I think the one that we have here, another one we have here is called the Food Guys or something. But fantastic, innovative business. You're able to order your food from local food restaurants online, and then you can have it delivered to you for an upcharge on your delivery fee. And it's kind of taking off in South Central Minnesota right now in Mankato, but I live in St. Peter and we don't have delivery for restaurants available to us yet. So in more rural areas, I'm not sure if everyone is getting DoorDash and these kinds of services soon, but it's hugely popular in larger cities like the Twin Cities and bigger cities are using DoorDash a lot and Grubhub and all that good stuff. So that was one way that businesses were able to engage with their customers. The other thing that has really just totally blown my mind and has changed my life entirely is this grocery ordering and delivery online. So this is really where e-commerce and food service and retail kind of meet in this sweet spot. I never want to walk into a grocery store ever again if I can manage it. I'm one of those people that gets sick all the time. So when I'm around people, I just end up getting colds and all that stuff. So the quarantine was really interesting for me because I was healthy for a year. And then when they started doing pickup and delivery at my local grocery store and then Hy-Vee and Mankato at Target, it just totally changed my life. And now I very rarely go into a store just so I can avoid like the possibility of getting sick. I'm a single mom, so I don't have a lot of time. And I don't know if any of you have had a 7-year-old, but taking them into a grocery store is basically just one giant argument in every aisle. So this has completely changed my life. And another example of a business model taking advantage of technology to be able to pivot their business and deliver to their customers, both literally and figuratively, to be able to keep their business more agile and resilient. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if grocery stores and other food service and hospitality businesses that are using this type of business model, if they're making more money now, because I've been kind of appalled by the markup with delivery fees and pickup fees. But guess what? I'm still going to pay it because I still love it. I don't even have to get out of the car. It's great. My new thing is we have this tiny little baby Hy-Vee here in St. Peter, and it's brand new. And my thing now is I go do the drive-up pharmacy, and then I go pull into the grocery pickup area, and then they come and bring me my groceries, and I didn't have to get out of the car. I have everything I need. It's wonderful. Technology, I'm telling you. I don't know what they did during the plague back in the day, because we sure have it easy now with all this technology. So that's kind of the website and the e-commerce side of things right now. And again, I'm going to get a lot more into e-commerce when we start talking about integrating these tools into your own businesses and marketing, because e-commerce requires a lot of digital marketing, and that's kind of my bread and butter. So we'll talk more about that. But moving on to another technology platform that is used by a lot of food service restaurants, things like that, are food trucks. And I know we're all familiar with food trucks. So I did some co-training. I have a co-trainer that I speak with. We do speaking and training around the United States, specifically on what we refer to as disruptive technologies. And a disruptive technology is any kind of a technology that comes into a community or a space and completely disrupts the economic environment that it comes into. So some really great examples of disruptive technologies would be Uber, completely disrupting the taxi industry. Food trucks have completely disrupted food service and the restaurant industry. Airbnb, they've changed how we book hotels and how we get lodging. Again, these are all online. They are all very disruptive to their respective economic environments. And then to a lesser extent, pop-up stores. So those that don't have a solid retail brick and mortar kind of a situation, but they can just do a pop-up somewhere where they pop up and sell their products and then they move on to the next place. But specifically for food service, food trucks has really been the disruptive technology that has kind of changed the game. And so I've done some speaking with city planners. My co-trainer and I, we occasionally will go into a city and do training with city planners on how to or not to regulate these disruptive technologies. And in my experience, in a city planning situation, if they don't know how to regulate it, they just ban it. And that can be really frustrating for those of us who are entrepreneurs, because we have really great disruptive ideas and we pivot and we shift our business models and we learn how to deliver to our customers and we learn how to grow our businesses. And we can be pretty disruptive to local ordinances, regulators, licensing and permitting. And food trucks have really shaken that up in a lot of cities. So one of the great things, we're going to do some pros and cons about food trucks and mobile food service vehicles. So food trucks are really great for businesses who are in the direct-to-consumer food service and restaurant industry, part of the food world, because they allow for much lower operating costs. If you are running a brick and mortar restaurant, I know that you know how expensive it is to maintain, and food is a perishable product, along with those brick and mortar operating expenses, really shrink down your profit margin to just a tiny little sliver. And that's why food businesses, restaurants, and bars tend to be the hardest to keep going because of that slim profit margin. It's just a lot of operating expenses, and having a perishable product is just such a challenge. So kudos to you if you're currently doing it. I'm not brave enough, so I have a lot of respect for you. But when you have a food truck, you have a mobile kitchen, essentially. So you're not investing in an entire building. You're not investing in a storefront. You have a vehicle that you are outfitting with a much smaller commercial kitchen, or in some cases, not even a commercial kitchen. I have a friend in New Ulm, Lacey. She owns a restaurant that's very popular called Lola's, and she makes all of her food out of the restaurant, and then they have a food truck that I guess they also cook in the food truck, but restaurant is their hub. But then they're in New Ulm, and now they're serving Mankato customers because they have this food truck that has enabled them to expand into other regions. And so they're doing a great job of kind of embracing the food truck side of business and using it to expand their existing brick and mortar. I don't know what I don't want to give you guys a brain meltdown with those slides. So another reason that food trucks are an amazing disruptive technology is that you have the ability to go where the customers are. A lot of food trucks are now operating by sharing their location information with their customers on Twitter. So, sorry, I wasn't able to share that for you. Sorry, Siri on my Apple Watch has decided to help with this presentation. So this is really, really popular up in the Twin Cities, actually. The food trucks will tweet out where they're going to be that day and at what time. And so the people can follow them on Twitter, and then they go to where the food truck is. And so that's been huge for these restaurant owners, because they can now go to where the customers are. Like they'll pull up downtown at 11 o'clock, and all of those folks who are coming down from their corporate offices suddenly have this huge array of food choices available to them, because these food trucks are able to be mobile and to go to where the customers are. So you're really taking a huge obstacle away between you and your customer, because they no longer have to make that buyer's journey decision to come to you. You can go to them. So just, again, these are technologies that are allowing us to do really incredible new things. So that said, there are challenges, there are cons to the food truck business. First of all, when it first started up, there were very few regulations and very few permits and legal requirements because, like I said, nobody really knew how to regulate it because it was this brand new thing. But now, as the food truck business has grown and expanded and become more popular, a lot of cities are trying to figure out how they're going to regulate this part of the industry. And some of the things that become challenging with food trucks is that they're now required to be near access to a public restroom. They have to be wheelchair accessible and handicap accessible. A lot of times they're very limited to where they can be because the other brick and mortar restaurants don't want somebody else's business pulling up in front of their store and taking their customers. So there's especially here in Mankato, there's been a kind of a push and pull from brick and mortar restaurant owners who don't like the competition from the food trucks, and then those that are using the food truck technology system to expand their business. So it's just been really interesting to kind of witness that dynamic and how that's grown over the years. But so since there are all these restrictions on how food trucks can reach their customers and where they can go, food truck hubs have kind of become a thing now. And this one is in the parking lot right next to our Small Business Development Center office. But they call it the hub, and every day food trucks come from all over and they park, and you can walk there on your lunch break or stop by for a snack. And so this here is Lola's. This is my friend Lacey's truck. She does amazing food like poutine and these fancy glazed lamb chops and all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. We have WYSIWYG, our resident health food store. Just lots of stuff. 507 is a kind of a bar food barbecue kind of thing. I've actually sang jazz with my trio at the food hub a bunch of times. That we have kind of this after work happy hour kind of a deal, and oftentimes they'll bring in a local musician. So I've gone there a number of times and sang with my jazz trio. So people will pull up and listen to the music and grab some food from the food trucks. There's picnic tables, there's porta potties. It's been this really cool little cultural business center where our food service business owners are really being supported and given the tools that they need to continue to reach their customers. Okay, so that's a little bit about food trucks. I could go on and on because I just think it's a really cool disruptive technology. But let's get a little bit into wholesale. So again, I was going to ask if anyone sells food on a wholesale basis, but I think we have a pretty limited audience tonight. So I'm just going to jump into it. So food wholesale, this was part of my first business that I didn't know anything about it. It was really kind of a shock to my system, because not only was I trying to figure out retail manufacturers suggested retail pricing for my products, but now I also have to do this math to figure out how much I'm going to charge wholesalers to make sure that I make my profit margin and that they get a profit for reselling my product. So that was a whole world of education. But the real key to being a successful food wholesaler is picking a niche or a specialization. Yeah, this is the article that I was referencing before. If you don't already know, smallbusiness.crone.com is a really great resource for business related news. It's really it's for small businesses, so I highly recommend that you check it out. It's very cool. So again, in any business, not just in food service and hospitality, but you really need to pick a niche or a specialization. The reason, in my opinion, in my very biased, subjective opinion, the reason that I was able to grow so quickly with my little farmers market business was because I had a very, very small, tiny niche and no one else was serving it. I was the first product in a whole new market space. And I only had this tiny little target audience that I was serving, and I was serving them directly. Now, if I'd tried to make a product and marketed to the whole world, I would not have been as successful, because one thing that kills small businesses, especially in the food industry, is trying to be everything for everybody. And I experienced this a little bit as I was on my e-commerce journey, when people were buying my products through my website, and then they were writing in and saying like, this isn't vegan. And I'm like, well, it's not supposed to be vegan. I took all the wheat and the sugar and the happiness out of it. I can't take the eggs out of it too. I can't take the honey out of it. I just can't be everything to everybody. And that was a lesson that was hard for me, who was a people-pleasing person, to learn. But especially when you're getting into wholesaling, you want to make sure that you are finding your niche audience. So if you're selling a fancy salt, let's say like Himalayan Irish seaweed sea salt or whatever, I don't know, I'm not a salt person, but you're selling I'll call it a luxury brand food product, you're probably going to want to focus on those wholesale retailers that serve a foodie audience, an audience that's willing to pay extra money, to pay a premium for high quality food products. You're not going to want to try to get your product into Walmart. You're not connecting with your target audience. So Walmart is not going to be a wholesale retailer that you're going to try to bring onto your business list. So I always start with making sure you really understand your product, you really understand your target audience. And if you need help with that, schedule a client appointment with me through the SBDC, because I love branding and target audience development and buyer journey stuff. So I'd be happy to help with that. So then again, with wholesaling, as with other food retail and food service businesses, anytime you're going to sell a non-shelf stable, but a product that has an expiration date, a product that is perishable, you really have to figure out how you're going to source your ingredients in such a way that you're able to make some kind of a profit. Because when you're wholesaling, a wholesaler is going to take a significant chunk of the profit after the cost of goods. So if your wholesaler is going to take 40% of the retail price, and it costs you 60% of the retail price to manufacture your product, then you might as well not be selling it wholesale. So keeping your cost of goods low by buying in bulk as a wholesale food service company is going to be really important. You have to make sure that you're keeping your bottom line as trim as you can, so that you're actually making a profit on your wholesale. You're also going to want to make sure, just like everything else, that you meet your licensing and permit requirements in your area. I am a ServSafe certified food manager. Anyone else? Anyone else like to regale their friends with the rule that you can only have food out at room temperature for 5 hours and then you have to reheat it or else it won't be safe to serve? No. I'm a I've been a ServSafe certified food manager now for probably since 2012. So it's really important as a wholesaler too, in any kind of food manufacturing, food service, that you have your food safety handling certification. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the crowd for those of you who already have a food service business, but it's really important that you make sure you're up to date on all your certifications and your licenses, because once that food goes out into the world, you don't have control over it anymore. And I can tell you, I've got lots of horror stories, like the time I found an Amazon seller who was selling expired packages of my own product. So that was great. It's really wonderful to have your brand ruined by someone reselling your expired product. That's very frustrating. So lots of things like that can happen if you're not controlled with the food that you let out into the world. So then again, with the GS1, the barcoding and the FDA regulations, again, this is just basic stuff with food service businesses. Anything that you're going to do that requires labeling, nutrition, panels. Nowadays, specifically for food service and hospitality, menus have very specific labeling requirements. That did not used to be a thing. And those of you who are in restaurants probably know this more than me, but now nutrition information, nutrition facts have to be on menus for certain types of foods, things like calorie count, sodium, stuff like that. I'm kind of glad I got out of the food business before that became a thing, because it's a lot to keep up with. But yeah, so make sure that you are up to date on FDA and USDA guidelines. USDA is more for livestock, animal husbandry type businesses, your meat production, your dairy production, all that good stuff. Yeah, USDA is something you need to get into if you're more in the agriculture side of things. Okay, kind of already covered all of the food allergies and good stuff there. We talked about wholesale audience, social media, branding. So other cool tech tools for brick and mortar food service businesses. My friend Kendra Rasmussen created the coolest food service business. She's also retail. This is a little health foods grocery store. They do also serve ready-made food, but what they have done is they've created a membership system for their little store. They're in New Prague, so it's a tiny community. Kendra doesn't have the resources to staff her store. Most of her store staff are actually volunteers from the community who believe in having a health food grocery and restaurant in their community. But because she has limited resources for what she's able to pay staff, she's basically taken the key card 24-hour fitness business model and applied it to her store. So when you become a member, it's a payment situation like Costco. You pay for an annual membership. You have 24 access to the building. So you can go into the building with your key card and you go and get your groceries, go and buy your food in the deli section. And then you go to the front of the store and you scan all of your own food with an iPad, and then you leave. And every single member has a key card entry system, or a unique key card, so they can get into the store And the store's technology systems record everybody's key card so they know exactly who came into the store at what time. They know what products people are buying. They're taking all of this data and they're using it to improve their business and becoming more agile and more lean in how they operate. And she's actually gotten, I've talked with her a little bit about maybe getting into the replicating her business model. And I know that she does also do consulting. So if at any time you are interested in learning more about her business model and all the really cool things that she's doing, maybe you want to learn how to apply some of this technology to your own food business, she does do consultation on her strategy. So, and she's just the coolest person. I met her through when I was facilitating the Food Entrepreneur Peer Network. She was in my facilitation group and just a really neat person. She's a marketer. She actually has degrees in marketing, unlike myself. But yeah, if you ever want to visit the Farmhouse Market in New Prague, it's just a cool, cool thing. And you don't have to be a member to shop there. I should have mentioned that. It's open to the public on Thursdays from 3 to 6, but you can see that customers are highly incentivized to become a member, and then the businesses benefiting from those membership fees. So they're getting that value added profit from the membership business model. Yeah, so Farmhouse Market. She's actually gotten calls from Sweden and things wanting to implement her business model. So she's doing very well. Mobile apps. So I'm sure we've all at some point ordered food from a mobile app. Where did it go? I was going to show you. Nope. So these are the food mobile apps that live on my phone. Like I said, I'm gluten-free, so I don't eat Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, but my 7-year-old sure loves those. We do Dunkin' Donuts every Friday, and McDonald's at least once a week when I'm too tired to cook. But what's really cool about these apps is that you can order and pay through the app. So like on Dunkin' Donuts Fridays, my daughter and I get in the car. We have a Dunkin' Donuts real close to our house. So we drive through. I've preloaded money onto my Dunkin' Donuts app. And then I order through the drive-through. And then when I get up to the drive-through window, the staff person scans my phone. So I don't exchange money. Again, I'm avoiding germs. I've prepaid the company. So much like a gift card model, as a business owner, you want people to pay you up front. It's just, I mean, let's say you put $50 on a Dunkin' Donuts card, but you didn't use it. Well, Dunkin' Donuts still has that money. You already paid them. So from a profit standpoint for food businesses, being able to offer some kind of a technology platform like Dunkin' Donuts has an app to be able to charge them up front for food service later. It's awesome. It's going to help your bottom line. It's going to help you get through those dips of cash flow when things are not going as great, seasonality or whatnot. So that's been fantastic. We also do the same thing with McDonald's, and McDonald's being the clever 1 zillion burgers sold kind of business, they create incentives. So like when I get to within a geo-fenced region or radius around a McDonald's, I get these little apps that pop up, or these little notifications that are like, hey, get a free French fry if you drive through right now. And for those of you who don't know what geofencing is, another really cool technology platform that you can use in your brick and mortar stores, your restaurants, is you can actually set up advertisement to notify or put an ad in front of anyone who comes within a certain geolocation. So I've had clients that use geolocation advertising. If anyone is within like a 1 mile radius of their coffee shop, they will have a notification pop up on phones that says, hey, you know, half off a cup of coffee if you come in right now, kind of a thing. I've had clients who do negative geofencing advertising, meaning someone comes within a 1 mile radius of their coffee competitor, and then they get a notification about the other business. Hey, 50% off a cup of coffee if you come shop with us. So geofencing is this incredible technology that you can use to not only drive people to your business, your restaurant, but you can also steal people who are within the vicinity of your competitors. So that's another fantastic tool that you can use. I also shop online on my Hy-Vee app. So I'm able to sign in. I can pick which store I want to go to. Sometimes I go to the St. Peter's store, which is, 2 miles from my house. Sometimes I'm driving into Mankato when I want to go do like a grocery errand run. And so I'll go to Mankato Hy-Vee, and then I'll hit up Target. And all of these places, I'm buying food using my phone. I can buy my groceries on the Hy-Vee app and on the Target app and never get anywhere near my computer. I don't have to pick up the phone and call someone. And those businesses are saving money by not having to employ staff because their sales process is automated. So the algorithms, the robots, they're all doing the sales work on behalf of the company. And because it's easy for me, and as a millennial, I don't like talking on the phone to anyone. It's easier for me to order online, and it's easier for the business to save money when their process is automated using technology like apps and e-commerce. So same with Starbucks. I have a very weak spot for the brown sugar oat milk lattes, the shaken espressos. If you haven't tried one, so amazing. So yes, I do use that app as well, and I get rewards. So if I buy, if I spend $50 or whatever using my Starbucks app, and I have to use the app in order to get this, then I'll get a free drink or a free sandwich or something like that. So the app is, because it's on my phone, it's always sending advertising notifications to me. It's reminding me that it's my birthday and I get a free drink. So wouldn't it be great to stop by? And of course, if I get a free product and I go to that restaurant, I'm gonna buy more food. I'm gonna add more product onto my tab, and that restaurant is gonna make more money. Hy-Vee Scan and Go, this is an app that I haven't used yet, but kind of similar to the farmhouse market situation where you go into the store and you scan your own product with your app, and then it makes checkout really easy. You can check out on your phone. Again, the technology, it blows me away. Five Guys, I order burgers on my app because they take forever, but they've got really great hamburgers. And then Weber iGrill, this is just a totally different nerd technology, but I actually have a meat probe that I put in my meat on my grill, and then I set the app to the temperature that I want, both for the internal temperature of the grill and the internal temperature of the meat. And then the app dings at me when my meat or my grill temperature are out of the parameters of where I want it to be. It's like those old, for those of you who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, it's like those old Ronco food commercials where it's like, set it and forget it. Only we're using a mobile app, so that's cool. And I don't know if any of you have used the sous vide machines, but those are also Bluetooth app enabled, so you can sous vide cook your food, and the sous vide machine that heats up and moves the water around your food, it communicates with an app on your phone, so you can actually control it from your phone. It sends you notifications. You can set the time of cooking on it. Just amazing. Food and technology. What a pair. Match made in heaven. Okay. So I want to leave a little bit of time for questions since I've monologued at you for an hour and 20 minutes. But just real quick, I wanted to touch on support and where to get it, because again, I know I've talked about this a lot, but let's see if I probably dropped it down. I was going to pull up our slide for our host. It's hard. It's hard being a food business. I know, I've been there. And I'm sure those of you who are in it, you also know. So you need to take advantage of the support systems and programs that are here for you. Organizations like the Economic Alliance, the SBDC, the SBA, Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, you know, these programs are here for you. They're here to support you. And I truly believe that one of the reasons I was able to start and sell a business was because I had a support network. You know, I had family who came in to help me with my production line on a whim. I had my business consultant through the SBDC who helped me understand cash flow projections and different operations things that I wasn't as familiar with. I had an SBDC consultant who taught me how to use QuickBooks. And, you know, I couldn't have done these things without the support network who mentored me and gave me the tools and the knowledge that I needed to be successful. You don't have to go it alone. You might as well take advantage of these programs that are available to you. And also don't forget about your local city and municipalities. Here in St. Peter during the quarantine, our small business administration here, it's not the SBA, but our small business guy down at the city administration was working with our city council to give grants out to small businesses. And a lot of our small businesses here in town, including the restaurants, were able to stay afloat because the city was so supportive of them economically during this whole crazy quarantine mess. So make sure that you are well knowledged about the different resources that are available to you. It's so important to have help when you need it. And then I just want to end with, anyone else hate the Zoom controls? Just makes me crazy. They're always in the way. So support each other. There are so many ways that you can support each other, but the great thing that I've felt about working with the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation Food Entrepreneur program is that we're so alike, those of us who are in the food industry. And not only are we alike, but we've lived through some crazy hard business times. And it is just so cool when two businesses are able to support each other. And so I want to tell you a real quick story about my friends who own the Pleasant Grove Pizza Farm in Waseca and the Half Pint Brewery in Waseca. So both of these business owners I met in my peer network. Oh, yes. I am definitely old enough. So Mike started a brewing company here on this little piece of property outside of Waseca. He actually built his own brewery on his personal property, which was a whole nightmare for regulations and the health department and stuff. But anyway, he got there. He grows his own hops on his farm and he makes these delicious beers. And they recently opened a tap room and they deliver food, or they serve food, and they support the other small businesses around them. So Pleasant Grove Pizza Farm, my other friends here, they started a pizza farm on their property just down the road. Bill and Emily, they're so great. So anyway, they figured out that they would be open, like, let's say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Mike down at the brewery was going to be open, no, vice versa. I'm not going to get the days right, but basically Mike's brewery and tap room were open when the pizza farm wasn't, and vice versa. The pizza farm was open when Mike's brewery was not open. And what they were doing was, when the pizza farm was open, the customers that came to the pizza farm were buying beer off the menu, and Mike was bringing growlers down to the pizza farm. So beer was being delivered to the pizza farm for the customers. There was cross promotion happening because you've got two companies, two food businesses, two different brands. And then when the pizza farm was closed and Mike opened up the tap room, my pizza farm friends were delivering pizzas down the road at the tap room. So it's just, to me, it's like this amazing story of food businesses supporting one another. And if you're ever in the Waseca area, I highly recommend that you go to check out the pizza farm or the brewery. Honestly, it's the best pizza I've had since Italy. I've had amazing pizza in Italy. Theirs is right up there, and really unique, different ingredients on their pizza. And then Half Pint Brewing Company, again, just fantastic. They offer gluten-free beer too. So, they're serving people like me. And I could talk all night about food businesses supporting food businesses, but I really think we need to take a step back and remember that there are food businesses that are going to be our competitors, but there are other food businesses that can really partner with us and that we can help support, and who will help support us. So again, make sure that you're taking advantage of the resources and the support that's available to you, but also think about the food businesses in your community that you could support and who might be able to support you. Because again, this is a tough small business world that we chose, and we need all the help that we can get. And you being here, participating in this series, this program, you've already taken the first step. So my mentor, who was the former regional director at the SBDC, he used to say that he thought statistically our clients performed better and were more likely to still be in business after 3 years because they were willing to reach out to us and ask for help. So just you being here tonight, I think, is a really good indicator of the level of success and commitment that you will have with your business because you've asked for help. So congratulations to you. And once again, I just want to thank our hosts, the Economic Alliance and the SBDC at Central Lakes College, without whom I wouldn't be here tonight and we wouldn't be here helping each other. So we have 4 minutes left.
Thank you, Hannah. Let's open it up for some questions. I have a real quick question I'm hoping you can answer. Let's say theoretically I'm a restaurant who wants to have a way to take orders online to come in and pick up. What would be the best, or at least a platform or website I could use?
Oh, the options, they're limitless, really. So websites are a great way. I order my sushi from a restaurant in Mankato called Tokyo Sushi, and I order it through their restaurant. They have a little, it is really not fancy. So you don't
Do you know what platform they use to run their website?
Let's find out. I can do my little internet marketer code hack here. W3. So I think it's a WordPress website, and they must have some kind of an e-commerce widget that is helping them do the ordering. So yeah, that's one thing. I don't want to waste time by finding this out, but I can find this out after our session. But I just wanted to say too, you could use Facebook. I have clients whose entire business is based on Facebook Messenger. People just order through Facebook. It's crazy, but you know, that's another platform. When that big Facebook outage happened was it in January? And the whole world crumbled. It was really interesting from a small business marketing standpoint, because I learned that there are small businesses over in Europe in the East that, like, especially in India, that these people's businesses were all built on Facebook. So when Facebook went down, they had no business. People were not able to, like, bakeries were saying what had been baked in the ovens that day so that people could come in and buy it. There were food businesses that were saying, I'm open from this to this time today. And with that outage, they lost all contact with their customers. Their food ordering systems went down when Facebook went down. Same with Instagram, you know, and so it actually sparked a whole bunch of global discussion about social media as not only as a social platform, but as a small business platform. And there were some serious discussions, and I don't know how far they've gotten in other countries where they're talking about developing government-owned social media platforms that can be supported by the government so that the economy doesn't crash when Facebook has an outage. Like, it's, and they would treat it like a municipality. So just like you get water from your city, you would also get a social media platform that you could use to run your business. So, or Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee that if it's a communication platform or technology on the internet, somebody is using it to buy and sell a food product or anything. It's being done. You just have to be creative.
All right, I want to be mindful of people's time because I realize we're running a little past, but does anyone have any questions for Hannah? Feel free to unmute or put it in the chat.
Okay. Oh, so Marina asked about SBDC. Oh, no, Sarah asked about that. Thank you. Marina and Katie for answering questions. I'm actually going to put my information in the chat. So please feel free to reach out to me. I promise I won't charge you. Email is the best way to reach me, just because I'm always training, teaching, consulting. So I'm always on Zoom. Zoom is my life. Like so many other people now. So yes, please feel free to reach out. My website is hbdigitalmarketing.com. If you want to learn more about becoming an SBDC client and having me consult with you, or accessing any of our wonderful consultants who specialize in different things, I'm just one specialization with digital marketing and search engine optimization, but we have amazing consultants who specialize in human resources, in loan applications, in financials and cash flow, QuickBooks, general startup. I mean, you name it, we've got somebody we can connect you with. And we also work together to make sure that each client gets the expertise that they need. So I'm giving clients over to my financial advisor, consultant peers, and they're sending people my way. So again, yeah, and each regional center kind of works a little bit differently, but please do reach out to me personally, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have offline, because I just love talking about food businesses, and I totally used up 90 minutes of excitement.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you for that final plug for the SBDC, because that really is an important resource. All right, well, week 1 is done. Unless any of you want to join us tomorrow for a deep dive into Shopify. Other than that, we will see you next Monday, 6 p.m. The link to that was in your confirmation email, but I'll make sure to send it out again so that it's fresh in your inbox before next week. All right, well, thank you, Hannah, once again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.